After I put a new lift on my Jeep, I noticed the back end was squatting, which means the rear springs were compressing more than they should be. So the bumper, the rear end, was lower to the ground than it should be. The problem was it was causing my rear wheels, when they would articulate when I was off-road, they were actually grinding inside of the wheel well. The other thing was the rear end clearance, the departure angle, as it's called. If you watched my other video on that, you'll know what departure angle is. The departure angle was less than it should be, so I was losing, a couple inches, 3 inches or so in the back where it was dropping down. So my back end was hitting, the bumper was hitting rocks as I dropped over them, or hitting the ground as I went up things. So, the other thing is that when your back end is squatting like that, it means there's a lot of weight on the back end, which means all your components are wearing out faster. Your shocks, your springs, anything in the back end there that's having to flex up and down and support that back end is going to wear out more quickly. So my solution was to remove that heavy bumper, and then what? Then I was thinking about getting a different bumper. Ideally, I wanted to get an aluminum bumper because aluminum's much lighter, but aluminum's also very expensive, and I just didn't have the money to throw at it.
I'm not made of money.
My solution was to delete the bumper, just to take the bumper off entirely and replace the functionality that I was getting out of that big bumper I had before by just using separate components. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through how I did that, what components I used, and what I think about it so far. The main 3 things I did was, I took the big bumper off. Then I had to get a swing gate for my spare tire to hold my spare tire. I had to get recovery points somehow so that if I needed to connect the back end to another vehicle or some object to pull myself out, I would have a recovery point that a shackle could attach to. The last piece was I needed a tow hitch because, as you can see, it's pretty messy behind me right now, but my overland trailer is towed behind my Jeep, so I needed a way to connect the Jeep to the trailer. So I needed a tow hitch receiver. I found all those things, and like I said, I'm going to go through that in this video. The first thing I did after removing the bumper was to install the new spare tire holder. It came with a metal plate that mounted to the center of the tailgate and reinforced hinges that helped hold up the weight of the tire. The next step is putting these recovery points from Evo onto the rear frame of the Jeep. These replace the recovery points that were on my bumper that I took off. These are very cool. I really like the sort of bare bones aesthetic of being able to just stick these straight onto your frame and not have to have a bumper. So I ran into some pretty significant issues in installing it. One is that this nut, I think it has a flange on it, I think that's what you call it, won't fit inside here. It needs to go in there, but it is too big for the hole. So I need to cut away some of the frame to make it fit.
Say hello, to my little friend!
Go look at the other side and see how far it has to be moved down.
And they went through Teslas. Okay.
Oh no.
Yeah, I feel pretty... So that'll replace the recovery point that was on the bumper that I took off. I had to widen the holes on the tow hitch receiver a bit so that they would line up with the holes on the Jeep's frame. Getting rid of the bumper took a whole lot of weight off of the back end of the Jeep, and it's sitting a lot higher now. The wheels are no longer rubbing in the wheel wells, and it looks like between the wheel and the top of the wheel well, I gained about 1.5 inches or 2 inches. I'll include links to all the components that I use to do the bumper delete in the description below. And if you have any questions, please hit me up. I'm happy to answer if I can.